What's up, Mortgage Coach community? This is kicking off today's call. By the way, this is the Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang community. And at the end of the day, it is the no borrower left behind community. And we're interviewing an awesome loan officer. I think this is the third time I've interviewed Jimmy. Jimmy, I can't remember if you were a speaker at last year's Modern Mortgage Summit or Scriptapalooza, but did you do both or one of those?
I did Scriptapalooza 2 years ago.
2 years ago. So I think we're going to have to, we were actually thinking about when we're going to do Scriptapalooza this year, because we're, currently promoting the Modern Mortgage Summit, but we got to get that going. I'm sure it'll be like the month after the Modern Mortgage Summit, but thank you for your leadership in the industry, brother.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Good. Well, you're a great story in our community. Mortgage Coach community, Jimmy last year in 2022 as a primary referral source, which is financial advisors. He closed $50 million in volume from financial advisors primarily and his database. Now the year before he did a lot more business, but as him and I were talking about when we were prepping, the financial advisor model is a great model, but it was, got cut in half from refis, but still getting purchases. But I want to do this call around how are you winning with financial advisors? And then I know I think you mentioned in our prep, you're also going after realtors. Is that right?
Yeah, more now than ever, right? I feel like I'm almost behind the 8 ball a bit, and that's my fault. So now I'm trying to correct that however I can.
Well, bro, you're not the only one. First of all, most loan officers they don't have this beautiful base of $50 million and a vertical like financial advisors. So, I mean, you are really well positioned to kill it. So let's, one, describe your practice, and then let's get into how you're winning with both financial advisors and realtors.
Well, thanks again for having me on. I appreciate it. The practice has always been financial advisors, basically from day one. And the reason that happened is I used to be a completely consumer direct call center loan officer. And they say that, luck doesn't exist and we make our own luck. But one of my first leads I took was now my main referral source, a financial advisor out in California. So because I got my feet wet in that niche, in that market, in that vertical, whatever you want to call it, so early, it got me really, really intrigued, right? Working with those people that love numbers just as much as I do, working with people that maybe don't work on the weekends and aren't hounding you 24/7, and working on people that have that same philosophy with your clients that at the end of the day, not that realtors don't, but we're taking care of them from a financial standpoint from beginning to end.
So that was your entry way. So yeah. Let's just go generic with what are you, we're almost through January now. What have you done so far this month to position yourself to have a fantastic year?
Well, first and foremost, this actually happened at the end of 2022. I saw the Meet the Market, Mortgage Champions, Mortgage Coach, Sales, Boomerang being promoted pretty heavily. And I thought, why the hell wouldn't I do this, right? I made a goal to start it by January 1st, 2023, but then I found myself twiddling my thumbs. I wasn't very busy around the holidays, and I dove in on my birthday, December 21st. So I thought this would be a good idea, a good day to really get this thing ramped up. And it basically changed my mindset, got me back in that money-making activity mindset rather than the wait and see mindset, which unfortunately I found myself at the end of last year.
I love it. So by the way, takeaway there, guys, he's personal development. He's improving himself. He started off the year with, what am I going to do to get better? Why did you invest in that program? Just curious.
One of my goals last year was to invest more in myself. I did a bunch of different events. The first time in my career that I was starting to do events with real estate agents. And I figured that if I am seeing business slow down, it's not the company. It's not, maybe some of it's the market, but a lot of it has to do with me. So how can I better position myself for 2023 and onwards so that this doesn't happen again? Of course, the market goes up and down, but how can I be better prepared for this next time around?
Got it. So that was that. And then how was the program? Like, what were your takeaways?
Fantastic. Hands down, the best $500 I've spent in a very long time. it's worth a lot more than that. All the time that was put into it by, everyone involved. I can't imagine spending a $500 a different way. But honestly, it was quite something.
What do you think it's worth?
I'd say $2,000 at least.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So Dale Vermillion, thank you. And Dale, when we started collaborating, he said this is going to be really special. How long did it take you to get through the program?
Well, I did it a little bit different. I think it's maybe 3.5 hours from start to finish. But what I would do to make sure that I was giving it all of my time and not the multitask with the email on one screen and leads on another database, I bought myself one of these remarkable things, which if you don't have one, you should get one. So essentially an electronic notebook. I'd watch a section a day, take notes through this, then send the notes to myself, because you can send it to your desktop, which is pretty cool, and then watch the video again, taking it one day at a time. I think there's 6 sections, so I did 6 days of that. Then I watched it one more time after that. After 30 days, unfortunately, the access goes away, but I think there's a reason for that. I wish I could watch it again right now, but I can't.
Cool. Well, guys, first of all, anyone listening to this, it's a incredible program. It's cool to hear that someone at your success level is using it. For any loan officer, it's a gift. It will improve your conversion. It will improve your, how you handle sales boomerang leads and manage your database. So what else have you been doing to make the most of this year? Like if there was a playbook, like this is the Jimmy Weber playbook, and I want to make sure, part of how I build this is how you made, 50 million in production on financial advisors. I want to get to, what are you doing to do that? But what else are you doing to improve yourself this year?
Setting massive impact goals and then habits to actually knock those out. So instead of saying I want to make X amount of money, let's say I want to call 500 realtors this year with the intention of gaining just 5 new partners at the end of this year. So if I drum that down, it's really just calling 2 realtors a day, which I'm trying to do, of course, a lot more than that a day, but at the very minimum, 2 a day. If I'm getting through, let's say, the whole year and I take 2 weeks vacation, that's 500 calls. If I get 5 new partners, that's a 1% conversion rate. I'm trying to smash that, of course, but if I'm happy with just 5 new partners, which will completely change my business at a 1% conversion rate, I'd find that to be a pretty good goal.
Yeah, no doubt. I interviewed Jeremy Forcier the first Tuesday of this year, and it was called Jeremy Forcier's 2023 Realtor Playbook.
Yep.
I can't remember the exact number. I think it was either 20 realtors for 6 months or 40 realtors for 6 months. Now, again, Jeremy already has like 70 realtors, so he's
right
already doing 130, 140 million, and he has X. But here's what I want everyone to do. What is that number? Jimmy's got a number. He wants to add 5 realtors. Now, by the way, when you say 5 realtors, is there a certain number about a business you want them to refer to you? Is it, 5 realtors that you close 5 deals a year with, or what's the minimum goal you have?
Well, that's a caveat too. Those 5 realtors can't just be someone that, they do 1 deal a quarter. I mean, it's great to have a meeting with anyone that wants to chat, anyone that I can help as well, try and develop their pipeline. But those 5 realtors that I want to bring in, I would love for them to be actual partners that I'm meeting with. We're doing events, client appreciation, trying to get the pipelines together. In a perfect world, maybe they're sending me 2 deals a month each.
So 2 deals a month. So 20, you want someone that has the potential to be a 20 deal a year agent is what you're hunting for.
That's exactly what I'm hunting for, right? Like that's my goal.
Okay, cool. So let's get into your playbook. Like how are you doing all that volume with financial advisors?
Yeah, the financial advisors, like I said, it kind of came naturally because it started off so early. What I've learned pretty recently from a good mentor, Craig Strent, is that the total cost analysis works wonders with financial advisors. There's so many different things that you can do to show them different case studies, specifically 15-year versus 30-year, taking a 20% down payment rather than taking a 50% down payment, moving all of the proceeds from the sale of their departure residence into the new home and showing them what the velocity of money would do for them if they had saved that money rather than putting it all into their walls and trying to diversify the portfolio. So what I'm doing is sitting down with financial advisors and specifically trying to get in with their teams, holding Zoom meetings to show these case studies I have a pretty great PowerPoint that I created. Really what it shows is all those case studies back to back to back. And then I open it for questions, and I normally find that there's quite a few of those, a lot of raised hands.
Anything, again, I don't want to put you on the spot and you don't have to share your proprietary magic, but is there anything, whether it's a sample of a TCA that you use or some of the slides, anything you can share us so we get a feel for what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely.
By the way, I love that mortgage coach shirt you're wearing. So
Yeah,
nice choice of attire. So anyone, by the way, while Jimmy's getting that, if you want one of these No Bar Left Behind t-shirts or a Mortgage Coach t-shirt, you can go to savageinsights.com. I have, not only is there a link for Meet the Market, there's a link for what I think are a couple of the most important pieces of content that I've recorded this week. I update that every week, but there's also links to buy these t-shirts at the Win by Noon store. So savageinsights.com, check it out. All right, what are we looking at?
So this would be that prototypical move-up buyer, someone that's selling their home and they don't know what to do if they want to use each and every dollar that they get from that sale to put towards the new home. Or in a perfect world working with us, what they could do is put down 20%, and it's my job to then show them what their net worth would be over, in this case, 30 years. The third column here is a future refi to show them, well, if we get in with this 20% down payment right now, and you're a little bit worried about that rate being higher, which I think this was in October when I created this, where rates were starting to near 7%, show them that future refi too, which honestly, Dave, I didn't know that you could do a refi next to a purchase for the longest time. I found this out when I started getting into Mortgage Coach, into the nuts and bolts, Q3 and Q4 last year when I had some extra time on my hands. But it's fantastic because rather than what I used to do is send in another TCA. So then they'd be having multiple options in front of them on different screens, different analysis. It was pretty confusing. Showing them this future refi, kind of giving them that glimmer of hope. Well, the payment's a little bit higher now, but it can be lower later, is great. What you'll notice here is the payment's the same across the board. And that's where that reinvestment screen comes in pretty handy. Right. So I can show them that if they continue to save that $780 a month with the refi, moving from 7 to 5.5, your net worth is going to be a lot higher than it would have been if you hadn't saved at all. Again, just another way to diversify that portfolio, which financial advisors love, because it's more assets under management for them and their clients are happier with them.
So Jimmy, stop sharing your screen real quick and please forward that link to me. But the skills you have to do that, I think, are going to be super important skills going forward for the next decade. And I don't want to assume you know this. I mean, people that watch me, I've now, I think almost every webinar I've done this year, I've shared this, but it's too important not to share it. So when you look at what's happened in mortgage, there's been over $4 trillion in mortgage business in 2020 and 2021. And that means 23.6% of mortgages in America start with a 2%. 39.5% of mortgages start with a 3%. That's 63% of every mortgage in America starts with a 2 or a 3, guys. And another 20% start with a 4. So, I mean, literally 80% of move-up buyers have a better rate than what you've got in the market today. So I think what Jimmy just showed you that financial advisors love, this is the kind of conversation you're going to have with move-up buyers where, hey, you're taking them from a 2 or a 3% rate into 4 or 5 or 6, but you're showing them, let me show you how you're going to accumulate wealth faster. And now in Jimmy's example, it was taking the difference in payment and putting it into a financial planner. It might be just appreciation. Hey, you've got a $500,000 house. Look at a $750,000 house. But it's that same, let me show you how to build your net worth faster conversation. Have you had any of those conversations where someone had a 2, 3, or a 4, and you're making a case for homeowner, buying the bigger home, and you're using Mortgage Coach to tell that story?
Oh, absolutely. Especially now with 2-1 and 3-2-1 buy downs, making that home that much more affordable. in, right now. But Dave, really quick, going back to that TCA,
You can
one
pull it
thing
back
that,
up if you want. Pull it back
one
up.
thing that, yeah, the financial advisor, niche, if you will, it's kind of tough to crack. Once you start understanding this, it's not so much. This is more important than ever for these advisors, keeping AUM, because the market's so crazy. So when I'm showing them this, and that's something that they can then show to their clients, it kind of breeds that confidence. A lot of advisors in Q3 and Q4 over the summer even were telling me they lost clients. People were moving because they were so worried about the market, and it's tenacity. But then turning around and showing them, let's use your home ownership and the equity that you hold, or the equity that you will hold, to continue to build your wealth outside your portfolio and diversify that a little bit more. It works wonders.
So I have a question, because you have not only Mortgage Coach, but the company you work for has Sales Boomerang. And one of the things we've been talking a lot about is, be a data-driven mortgage advisor, which you are, Jimmy. You're using Mortgage Coach, you're telling stories with data, you're turning your database into a data bank. Have you used that as a value prop with either realtors or financial planners to have them give you their database? Has that?
Absolutely. I mean, trying to pair that up with another thing that we use, HomeBot, right? So showing somebody that we can monitor your whole database's credit for the rest of their life, and then pair that with their home equity and HomeBot, I become a part of that team. We always reference the wealth team and being the quarterback of the wealth team. If I can help your clients stick with you, wouldn't you want to work with me over someone that doesn't do that?
Did Meet the Market and some of the things you learned from Dale's platform help you improve how you're actually executing with Mortgage Coach, HomeBot, Sales Boomerang? Did it add any value?
Well, absolutely. I think more than anything, it kind of created less call reluctance for me. It got me back with the sharpened knife, got me back on the phone. Not only was it, new year, let's start over. That's great and everything, but I needed a kind of a kick in the ass, and that did that.
So for any manager listening to this, I can't emphasize enough. I mean, I create this content, different loan officers in different markets, with different business models. The one commonality, don't have your loan officers follow Mortgage Coach or our YouTube channel if you don't want them to be data-driven mortgage advisors. If you're happy, hey, our job is to close loans and close them on time, and that's it. This is not your place. But if you think hey, I want them to, leverage their CRM, call on their alerts, deliver a digital transaction, that's what we do. And the thing that's beautiful about what Dale did is it goes beyond what we can do in YouTube. I mean, it's a training. First of all, it's a guy who's trained tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, I think it's 1 million loan officers over 30 plus years. And he is the king of conversion. And he also knows all the science and art of cold calling, and how to handle an incoming call. And it's a 3.5-hour training. So if you're a manager and you want to learn more about this, go to savageinsights.com. There's a link. Or I think you could probably Google it, but you can email me, Dave at Mortgage Coach. But Jimmy, so it added a lot of value.
Yeah, a quick plug, things that really should come to mind, but they don't. The rule of 5. I love this from Dale. Give the realtor, give the customer, give the financial advisor 5 reasons why they should work with you and not somebody else. If you don't have 5 points of value, then there's really no reason that they can't go somewhere else and work with somebody else and get that same service.
I love that. I interviewed a loan officer today, Tim Lamb, and he talked about the borrower +1 strategy, where it's always hey, once I know what the big value prop is, I'm always, going beyond that and giving them a +1 strategy. And Dale takes it to a whole nother level. It's the +5 strategy.
Yeah, right.
And it's compelling. Well, I mean, Dale has trained a lot of consumer direct loan officers, and let's face it, if you are consumer direct, you need 5 reasons to do business with me. So it makes a lot of sense. By the way, what are some of your reasons? If you want to name 5, give me 5. But what are some of the reasons you tell financial planners, you tell consumers, you tell realtors? What are, why Jimmy Weber?
Well, one's the technology, right? So we're plugging HomeBot, MortgageCoach, Lender Launchpad is huge right now. Another is pain points. So I'm sitting down with real estate agents specifically and asking them, what's your pain point right now? How can I help? Something that I wasn't doing before. When I was sitting with real estate agents, I would sit down and try and plug each and every one of our value props rather than actually kind of pertaining to their needs. And I found that the feedback with that has been a lot better because I'm letting them speak rather than me just trying to sell them on working with me. So listening is another thing, being there and present and able to connect with these people. If you're connecting with your referral partners, there's a really good chance that you're able to connect with your clients as well.
I love that. So guys, I want to just to make this a lesson. If you have not read this, read it, study it. It's on LinkedIn. You know, it's not only the 10 top videos at Mortgage Coach, it's the 6 mega trends of $100 million producers. And the number one mega trend is the data-driven advice era. And as I've said, because 80% of mortgages are 4% or less and 63% are 3% or less, it really requires loan officers to, be a data-driven mortgage advisor. So, that's be a mortgage coach that is turning your database into a data bank, means you have a database. It's being monitored by Sales Boomerang so that you're getting all the loans you can out of it. It's knowing the data in the market and being able to educate with data, being able to, if you haven't already done this, go educate your realtors about this with very clear specifics so they know, hey, when you go take a listing, 63% of those listings, the person has a 3 or 4% rate. Make sure you know that and make sure you're proactively addressing their concerns. Make sure you know your numbers. All this can be trained, like I said, this is savageinsights.com. Sign up for this program. There's a link to it right here. Just sign up, guys. It's an incredible value. So Jimmy, before we run out of time, anything else you want to make sure people come away from this session with? Any tactics, any scripts? By the way, you gave one or two whys. Give me a couple more why worked for you, and then closing thoughts.
Well, I think knowledge and experience is pretty standard, right? But being able to kind of differentiate that from somebody else. I mean, what does the loan officer do for you? What does the company do for you? We pre-underwrite all of our pre-approvals. We put them in the lender launchpad. We pair them with a mortgage coach. We show a full presentation rather than just a piece of paper with a spreadsheet, perhaps, of some mortgage options. So kind of trying to mesh all of that together, sending a video to the listing agent, things that people might not be comfortable doing or things that people think they maybe didn't need to do. Those are all huge right now, right? In my opinion, we're hearing a lot of people say we have to go back to basics, which is true. Open houses and such are coming back, but we're also, like you said, data-driven loan officers. We have to evolve, and we have to show people that the value comes from not only the technology, but knowing how to use it and knowing what you're talking about.
So guys, I want to give you a script. I share this a lot. I interviewed someone, Phil, what's his name? I've got the book right here. Just interviewed him a couple days ago. Phil Jones, exactly what to say. And he upgraded my script here. It used to be my advice helps you build wealth with real estate. He said, hey, why don't you make it our continued advice helps you build wealth with real estate faster by helping you make smarter decisions. By the way, guys, that's one completely badass reason why a consumer should work with you as a mortgage coach. And then your team, that's you, proactively coach you over time to ensure you always have the best loan. And think HomeBot, think Sales Boomerang, think annual reviews with Mortgage Coach. So by the way, guys, that's like 2, 3, you could even make that 5 reasons to do business. And then, this was a nice little update that Phil also added, to then tell the customer, is it important for you to have long-term strategic advice like this? Or are you just looking for short-term cheap interest rate? that may or may not be the right way to transition from this, but you get the point. It really aligns nicely around what Dale teaches. And we didn't talk about it here, but one thing I'm super passionate about is helping educate first-time home buyers to get into homeownership, and not only educate first-time home buyers. And Jimmy, this is an idea for you.
Mm-hmm.
Go to your financial planner, and let's face it, there's a financial literacy crisis in America. There's an affordability crisis in America, but it's going to be more important than ever that families help their kids get into homeownership. And so this is like a good example of a first-time home buyer. I don't think they necessarily got help from their family, but and in this particular case study, the first-time home buyer had decided not to buy. Like, hey, I'm gonna wait. But this loan officer showed, hey, you can keep renting, you can get just standard 30-year fixed rate. Because it's a great market to buy in, you could get a seller concession. And you know what you could do? You could buy this 3-bedroom house and rent out 2 of the bedrooms. And you know what you could do? You could give that $625 a month to your financial advisor and look what your net worth looks like in 5 years. So this is a great example of killing it with a first-time buyer, killing it with a realtor, killing it with a financial advisor, because this loan officer is a data-driven mortgage advisor. Have you done anything like this before?
I have, yeah. I was talking to somebody this morning, actually. It's a first-time home buyer, younger fella. He's coming out of renting with 3 different roommates, and he's kind of sick of it. So when I brought up the house hacking idea to him and showed him with a TCA that he can have somebody in that house with him helping him pay that mortgage, I think it kind of opened his eyes that all of a sudden, he's the landlord. He didn't realize that he's the one that's gaining the equity. He's the one that's gaining the wealth. Yeah. Having somebody, one of your buddies in your spare bedroom or multiple spare bedrooms, it's only helping him.
So I'm going to ask you 2 ideas, because we're, some things we're thinking about. Well, we're already automating TCAs with Sales Boomerang, but 2 things we're thinking about starting to automate is 1, how cool it would be every time you had a listing alert, if we created a TCA, 1 for the realtor. So you now could go to that listing agent and say, hey, here's a seller buy down, a 2-1 buy down, but it automatically created affordability options to sell that home. And then what if it created a second TCA? Like, let's just say it assumed that they were going to buy a 20-25% higher house. Mm-hmm. You could always tune it up, but it created a TCA to go take to the move up buyer. Would that be valuable and cool for you?
It's next level, man. You guys are the kings of automation. That'd be outrageous.
Well, so you could do that yourself now because you're getting listing alerts. So
yep.
Now, like you do have a team, right? You have some help?
We do.
I'm going to recommend you tell your team that, hey, every time we get this listing alert, I want this and this, and then tell me what you think of this idea. What about if every time you got an alert that a family either had a kid graduate from high school or college, it created some type of a rent versus own that then gave you a reminder and a piece of content to go to that family and go, hey, I got an idea on how you can pay for your kid's education, or I got an idea of how you could help your kid get that start and get home ownership faster. I just want to make sure you know some house hacking ideas, some duplex, triplex ideas. I just want to make sure you see the numbers. What would you like that?
I've heard you talking about this a lot on the channel pretty recently, the duplexes and triplexes for college students. I think it's a fantastic idea. It's something that everybody should be doing. You can go get a house for 3.5% down and someone else is paying your mortgage. Sounds pretty good.
Well, make sure if you get, I have been talking about it, not for a long time. I mean, it's been less than a month, but it is something that I'm passionate about. I'm actually going to be launching a nonprofit with Kristen Messerly and Todd Bookspan. Cool. I can tell what the name's going to be because we now own the website. It's going to be called First Home IQ. And it's really going to be dedicated to educating first-time homebuyers between the ages of 16 and 21, so that they're like, I just feel like as people go through those years, whether they go to school or not, they should come out of, every 21-year-old can drink alcohol and vote and drive. They should understand what homeownership, how to have a plan for that. And then we're also going to have content and strategies to educate families, like help your 16 to 21-year-old have a plan and get the resources, however you want to do it as a family, whether you actually gift them, loan them, or push them, like come together as a family and have a plan to get it done. What do you think of that?
It's so cool. I love it.
Yeah, I think Kristen actually has the website up, and we can firsthomeIQ.com. Let's see. Yeah, so it's coming soon. If you do want to, find out when we actually launch it and tell more stories, go there, sign up for it. It is a pure nonprofit that we are doing to just raise money for that cause.
Change some lives. That's so cool.
Exactly. All right, dude. Well, hey, any closing thoughts, anything you want to say before we wrap this chat up?
Yeah, one last thing. So this is a conversion market, so much more so than it was the last 2 years, which was a volume market. So this doesn't necessarily compute with first-time home buyers, but someone that has owned a home before or has had a mortgage, and you're speaking with them, make it count, because they haven't had a great experience elsewhere. They would be going back to their guy or their gal if they had. So if you can make each and every connection more personal, do so, make it more meaningful. It's going to go a long way for them as homeowners, and it's going to go a long way really in your business too.
Yeah, I'm going to add on to that. I think every time you talk to someone, especially someone that has a house, you do a free move up analysis. Hey, would you like me just to when Jimmy says make it count, the way you make it count is you show them the numbers, and you're not selling the move up. You're helping them understand what it would look like financially. And then I always tell first-time loan officers, you should, like first-year loan officer, first new loan officers, you should call up all your renters and say, hey, let me help you. Or excuse me, will you help me? I need to practice my rent versus own analysis. And you want to make it count for someone who's renting? Show them the numbers.
Show them the numbers. One last quick story for you, Dave. You'll love this. I was up skiing in northern Wisconsin this past weekend, and a buddy of mine is thinking about selling his condo and buying a new home in a nicer Chicago neighborhood. I had the TCA up in the bar at the Opera Ski in Wisconsin, showing him what it takes for him to have essentially the same payment with all the equity that he's grown over the past couple of years. And he's like, dude, let's do it. Let's get this thing started.
You did that on a mobile phone?
I had the Microsoft Surface.
Okay, so you had the Surface. All right.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Not the full-on laptop, but still showing him the charts. He loved it.
Well, Jimmy, dude, you are a tremendous role model in our community. I love that you're representing with the shirt. Send me a picture sometime. I'd love to get you on our Instagram. And so send me a picture of you in the wild giving advice. And I am looking for some stories, some of these new ideas like the move up, helping a family that's got a 2 or a 3 make that move up decision, or helping a first-time home buyer build wealth faster, or a family going, oh, we weren't even thinking about it until our loan officer called up because they got a life alert, they got a Boomerang college graduation alert, or a Boomerang, high school graduation alert. So reach out to me, brother.
I will. I appreciate it, Dave. Thanks so much.
Thank you for investing in, the Dale Vermillion program and being one of the first graduates of that program in the community. I really, it helps elevate this community. So thank you for being one of those leaders.
Well, thank you for offering it. I really cannot recommend it more than I already have. It's fantastic.
Cool. Well, guys, we're going to raise the price to $2,000. Jimmy said he would pay that. So highly recommend you get it for $500 before we raise the price. Anyways.
That's right.
Take care, everybody.
All right.